Welcome back, everyone, to EX Area, the Shadowverse Evolve podcast run by myself as well as Ignideus, your 2 of 3 Shadowverse Evolve official English edition ambassadors. How are you doing, Igni? Happy New Year. It's the first episode of the year.
Happy New Year. I'm doing fantastic, and we got some pretty cool news to go over today. As you know, if you've been here before, or if you haven't been here before, I'll just tell you right now, the episode is sort of split into 2 parts. First half is over on Chris's channel, second half over on my channel, and on Spotify and the podcatchers, it's just stitched into 1 episode, so you don't got to go anywhere. And Chris's half, we do the Japanese side news, and my half, we do the English side news, and we got some interesting topics to go over today.
Yep, there's quite a lot of good stuff overall. So for my side, we're going to be talking mostly about a lot of the changes that have happened in throughout December and throughout this first half of January, basically. So we had the Bushiroad New Year's presentation that announced a lot of information. There's been a lot of tournaments from December onwards as well. There was a restriction list on the Japanese side as well. So we'll talk about that and how that kind of changed things up. And there was actually technically 2 releases as of the time of this coming out. We had Set 13 come out, as well as the Musume EX booster as well. But just to kind of keep things not too overwhelming, we'll talk about the Musume results in the next episode, which will come out in February, just because there is the Grand Prix Kyoto happening as well right now, and that's really going to shift things around quite a bit. So I think it's better that we wait for that to finish before we really talk about the effect of Musume itself, and then that way we can kind of segue that into the next set that comes out in February too, right?
I believe it's literally happening as we were recording this. It's legitimately happening right now. So yeah.
Exactly.
Also, if we covered everything in 1 episode, it would be like a 5-hour long episode.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to be here for that long. So.
In the interest of time, we're gonna keep things a little bit short and sweet, or not really, but just a bit shorter and a bit sweeter.
Yeah, that's right.
The other thing is that starting from this EX area, I suppose, a lot of the content that we used to kind of put out as videos until now for the new English expansions will instead be just part of the EX area podcast itself. So in this episode on my side, I'll actually be also talking about the must-haves for set 8, which will be coming out in English very soon. And then on Igni's side, we're going to be talking about how a lot of the cards from the digital edition got ported into the physical, and just kind of like the kind of content that you're used to seeing from us, but just in a podcast platform instead. And so basically next episode I'll also be featuring the competitive decks, because for that we do have to wait for deck log to update and whatnot. So
right,
we'll have that next time around, just in time for set 8's English release. So I hope you guys do look forward to that. So I think that's basically most of the big topics that we're planning to talk about today. So let's just get into it and see. The first things first that I personally want to talk about, I think we usually break things up in terms of a little bit of a flow, I guess, of one thing comes after another, one topic comes after another. But there's been a lot of tournaments, and there was things happening in between the tournaments. So I kind of want to just look at some results that have been happening on the Japanese side from the beginning of December, and then look at how the restriction list that was announced changed that. So I guess first things first, just so people are aware of what the restriction list actually was, we can just take a look at it right here. So basically, on December 13th was the effective date, was basically the restriction and unrestriction of certain cards. So in terms of restrictions, they basically took the starter amulets that you get from the 2 Vanguard trial decks for Shadowverse Evolve, and essentially just restricted them from being used. So they've become banned, essentially. You cannot use them as your starter amulet, or you can't put them into your deck whatsoever at all. And now you'll basically be forced to use the other ones. And we've seen that, the Overlord players, the Kagero players, Shadowverse Evolve have adapted to that and still are doing just fine despite that. There's also an unrestriction with the Cursed Crafter, as well as the Shenlong, both being completely unrestricted now, starting from mid-December. So Shenlong especially he was behind bars for a long time.
Yeah, free my man. He's not even good in the Japanese format, really.
You could have really freed him earlier, I feel like, too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really.
So yeah, this is a reminder. So both Stardust Trumpeter and Undo do the same thing. They're starter amulets that you start the game with if you're playing the Vanguard themed deck. Also, I'm gonna pull Igni up a little bit here. I feel like he's a little bit he's just kind of like stuck in the corner.
Yeah, I'm in the freaking kids table, dude. Get me out of here.
But basically, the Stardust Trumpeter and the Undo both essentially say that if you have a Vanguard follower in play, you can get like engage this and send it to Cemetery to give it +1/+1. So it would essentially allow you to like turn one set up a 3/3 that you'd bash with, or like, you know, it would just basically like add a bit too much stats on board that most decks can deal with. So they said enough of that. So they do explain why, but basically it's like the main problem was Undo, but because they both have the same effect and they're not restricted to what class you play them in. If you play the Vanguard deck, if you restricted Undo, everyone would just like switch to Trumpeter.
Just play it,
and so,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they basically had to restrict both. So that was kind of what happened there. And then the pre-evolved Cursed Crafter as well as the pre-evolved Shenlong also got unrestricted. And so it's been pretty interesting to look at like how that's affected things, because if we look at the tournament results, like this one is from the first week of December.
So this is pre-restriction.
Yeah, pre-restriction. Undo is still in here. Overlord list, we're running like Maelstrom and stuff for more like storm damage. And then again, you see another one with just Overlord. There was, of course, Sword was doing pretty well. I think we talked about this in the last episode too.
Right, the Wasteland stuff ended up being pretty impactful.
That was pretty cool. I did play around with the deck a little bit myself as well during this time. And it's just like, it's so hard to play, it was the impression I got, just because it feels like there's so many moving pieces and sometimes you do randomly just find lethal. It's like you open Ralmia early enough with a lot of your early game pieces and you just like have so much storm damage that your opponent can't come back from it. So it feels like it's a very like hard to play, and like having answers to things thanks to Not is really cool because you just like freezes things on board basically. But you can see that until this restriction list,
I see one deck popping up more than the others is what I'll say.
Yeah. And then like Forest had quite a few archetypes. This was before the Natura support as well, so that I think basically released on the day that this restriction came into effect as well. So then we look at the second week of December, you do see that it's a little bit different, right? So Natura Sword started popping up. Natura Sword was only really popular, I'd say, in like the first week. And then everybody went back to Wasteland after that, almost immediately.
I mean, Natura Sword also a pretty familiar archetype for people who are playing the English edition right now. So like to see that it's like good up until the current day kinda is reassuring for players of that deck, I suppose.
That's for sure. So, but yeah, you get to see basically there was quite a lot of Overlord still, and then Wasteland didn't really pick up any of the new Natura cards, of course, but there's also a lot of like recognizable names like Takpon that we've seen throughout like a lot of tournament streams and whatnot.
So this is still pre-restriction. They're starting the unknown.
Still pre-restriction, yeah. And then we move on to this is
third week.
Then the third week of December, and so here we had the release of set 13, and so it was kind of interesting to see how things moved on from there. So set 13.
Set 13. It's for people who are familiar with the digital game. It's the one based on Velsar, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So can even take a look at this one too to like show you some of the key cards. Like the main like metagame piece that moved around this set was Sekka. Also, I think like in terms of, you know, actual card value, she was also like the priciest because she also has an advance. So
yeah, just like the digital game, Sekka is one of the most impactful cards in the set. Yeah, some things are carried over faithfully in that sense.
Exactly. So basically, she's a 1-drop, which is already, you know, if you're a Force main, that's something you're really happy about. That looks at top 3, finds a cost 2 or lower Force Craft card and adds it to your hand, and then the rest goes to bottom deck. And then if you revealed a cost 2 or lower Force card for this effect, then you have to discard 1. So basically, like you add something, but you have to ditch something. And then for 3 play points, you can banish 2 copies of this. No, koreto kado 2枚. Yeah, so you basically banish 2 copies of this to choose the Sekka, the advanced Sekka from your Evolve deck and play it. And then that one is basically fanfare. Search your deck for her spell, the gold spell, and then you add it to your hand. And the second effect you can choose is you can choose the spell in your cemetery and add it to your hand. And so the spell says you choose one of 2. The first one is you choose a Sekka And if you have 9 or more banished like cards in your banish, then you give it +2/+2 in Storm. And then the second choice you have is if you basically choose your Sekka named card and an opponent's follower, and then you give the Sekka +2/+2, and then you deal damage to the thing on your opponent's side. So
right,
it's like
that makes sense.
Kind of a like you kind of see how they tried to recreate the whole Sekka like mechanic from the app a little bit. And you know,
instead of a token, it's a main deck card instead. It's basically it. Yeah.
And she is, if I'm not mistaken, the trait, I have to always compare it, but she is a hunter as well. So
interesting.
That works with the rest of the hunter stuff that you've seen from, like, you know, English already has this, right?
Right, like from the Colosseum set.
Yeah. So like Colosseum and also Omens too, right?
That's true. Yeah, Zudia's a hunter too. Yeah.
Then we got like
I will say I think it's cool that they're kind of using the banish zone more. Like I think Pale Moon was actually the first deck in Evolve that kind of made use of the banish zone.
Yeah, the Vanguard
in such a way. Yeah. And so now an actual native Shadowverse deck using the banish zone too. They're sort of expanding their design space a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah. I think it is quite cool. So like you see this guy as well, the Blade Elf. He's like on attack. You banish the top 3 cards of your deck to get +1/+1.
That's pretty cool. That's so fun because I think his name is Edgy Elf or something like that in Shadowverse, and he's like completely unplayed in the digital version. So he's getting new life here. So that's nice of him.
Essentially. Yeah. So Sekka, like you'll see how the Sekka decks kind of evolved over time, and then this released as a starter deck in Japan, but this is gonna be part of
set 9, I believe, in English. Yeah, it's the Dragon Blader stuff, like the Romelia package, and people were like, it's fine, but it's sort of unsupported. And apparently, Drock and all them from the set 13 are Dragon Bladers as well, so it works out together now.
Yeah, so the archetype is called Buto Ryujin in Japanese, and it's basically like, so Drock himself says on Fanfare, this turn, next time you would play a card of that trait, it costs 3 less.
Whoa, that's really good then.
Yeah, and
3 less is a big discount.
He rolls for 4, which is a lot, but he has a sale, and he says, you choose a follower that is that trait from your cemetery that costs X or less originally, and play it. X equals his attack. So like Drach's attack. So on Evolve, he basically, you know, by default plays a 6 or lower. But then of course you have ways to buff that thanks to, you know, like what this archetype does basically. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of like other things that buff as well.
I think it's cool that they're supporting the starter deck. It's a shame that we don't get it as a starter product in English, but just like the fact that they're going back and making sure this is playable is nice. Cause I feel like people bought that box to get into the game. So it has a new Forte in it, so I'm biased, obviously. But you know.
That's not archetype that did well, and then like Bats kind of came back. So if you're around during spring of 2024 when we restreamed the JCS and
back
you'll recognize the majority of this deck. Now with
they replaced the Kudlak and the Rose Queen just with the Aishalendric. The Aishalendric is such a generic good like control tool. It's like pretty much run as 3 of in every Abyss deck as far as I understand it.
Exactly. So it's basically just Bats, but just with new support. And that's just kind of what makes it good. And he's also a vampire, so that kind of just works, right? Everything is vampires, so it essentially just works very cohesively. So Elazard himself says, if he like, as long as he has a counter on him, he cannot be played from the EX area. But then he says, at the start of each of your end phase, if you can remove a counter from him while he's in the EX area, and if he doesn't have any counters on him, he plays himself. And then on last words, he puts himself to EX area, and he puts 2 counters on himself. So you basically, it's kind of similar to the app where it's like he comes back every 2 turns.
It's similar to it is adapted from the app, but in Evolve it reminds me kind of like Snow White a little bit as well.
Yeah. So he's just like a recurring piece, and then he also evolves for 1. And on Evolve, he just gets he becomes a 3/3 with last words to put his, it's like, I think pretty sure it's the token spell.
Yeah, the
so
blood
he puts
arts.
his token spell into EX area, and then he puts 2 counters on himself as well, just like he normally would. And
Yeah,
so
very similar to the app then.
The 1-drop token spell basically lets you choose your leader, deal 1 damage to all of your opponent's followers, and then all of your Eluzards on board get +1 attack and drain. And if you have 3 face-up Eluzards in your Evolve deck, then you give another +3/+3 to the Eluzard as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of, yeah, like it's you really see how they try to adapt the actual like app mechanics to the game.
Yeah, it's similar. It has drain in this one, which is nice, but
Yeah.
it is similar.
So it's a bit more control-y, I suppose, in that sense. So it's kind of interesting. And then in terms of so this was the week of the 17th.
This is 3rd week December. Yeah.
3rd week of December. And so then right before, just on Christmas Eve, we got another sword archetype basically that started to pop up, which is Levin. So this is like not just Levin, but also like Licia did come out recently as well. For those of you that know me, I love Licia. But she's kind of cool where she's like basically a package. So she searches out the nano from your deck just on play.
I was going to ask because they are together in the app all the time, Licia and Nano. So
she searches out the nano and plays her. And then when your nano evolves, you can put the Twilight Sword into EX area or heal your leader too. And Twilight Sword is a very pretty token, which says when it's a 5-cost spell that when you play this, you can choose the Licia and Nano on your field and engage them and you have to engage them basically. So it's like, it's not just 5, you also have to engage them. And then if you do, you deal 10 damage to all of your opponent's leaders and all of your opponent's followers.
It is similar to the app. It is. Yeah. Like they kind of they did it. They translated it well.
And I kind of like the idea of all these like token spells because I feel like that's kind of how Shadowverse app version evolved over time, and like like having to play these as cards in the deck would make it like, I don't know.
Bad.
Like there's a chance you play it's a mill deck and they just mill it out and it's like, well, now you're
or like you don't have because you have to run the Licia and the Nano and the spell. Then it's like you gotta get 3 pieces for that combo. Like it makes more sense this way. Yeah.
The Nano herself is she basically says she gets a sale as long as Licia's in play and she has Bane. And when she evolves,
very similar to the app version,
she becomes a 2/2 and just like that's all. So essentially just a buff.
Just removal.
Yeah.
I'll say this is interesting that there's 3 Armor of the Stars running this list. What are they trying to protect with that? I don't even know.
And this is the one that gives aura and +1/+2. Just 2.
Yeah, it's my Glory Finder God card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do have the new Albert, 6-cost 3/5 that evolves for 1 and has Storm. And on Fanfare, you choose one of your other 11 followers and send it to the cemetery to choose an opponent's follower and destroy it. And then on Evolve, he still has Storm as a 4/6, and on attack, he chooses an opponent's follower, destroys it, gets +X/+X. X equals this turn the amount of followers that have went from the field to the cemetery. So that includes both players. So that means if you destroy 2 of your opponent's things and 1 of your own, then he gets +3/+3 basically. And then as a bonus effect, you can pay 2 play points to refresh him, but you can only do this if you have 10 or more 11 cards in your cemetery.
Oh my goodness! It is like double attack Albert. The flavor is there.
Yeah,
there you go.
So you have some of like you have Gino. This card was pretty insane in the app, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
super busted in the app.
It's like,
does it have Storm in this one too?
No, but he's Fanfare, deal 4 damage to any follower, and when you would play this, if you have a cost 3 or lower 11 follower on your field and you send it to the cemetery, then his play cost becomes -3. So he's a 1 cost 4/3 that deals 4 to something, which is like, and you do have some 1-drop, because this, like, again, let me check. It costs for 3 or lower original cost. So it can be a 1 cost, basically.
That's pretty easy, too, because you get the 11 sisters, too, right? With the Mina and Mena or whatever their names are. I forgot.
Yeah. There's like a new cards gimmick, I guess, in this set, which like Drak had it on his spell too, and so does the 11 Sisters one, where it's like it's a 1-cost spell, but then it says when you play this, you may add +4 cost to it. So it's like enhanced.
It's enhanced.
So this one says you choose mime, meme, or mame are their Japanese names.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what are you talking about?
So you choose one of the 3 and add it to your hand from your deck. But then if you pay the extra 4 cost, you search one of each of them and play all of them instead of adding to hand.
Oh, interesting.
So meme is 2/2 ward.
Her name is Meme. That's
Her
crazy.
name is actually Meme in Japanese. Localization 500. But start of end phase, if you have 5 or more 11s in the cemetery, she heals your leader 1. In Fanfare, you discard 11 card to draw 1. And then Mime is Fanfare chooses the opponent's follower. If you have 5 or more 11 followers in cemetery, deal 3 damage. And she evolves for 1 to basically look at top 4 for a 11 card, add it to your hand, the rest goes to the bottom. So
okay, similar to the app then. She's like the draw card version of the Sisters. Yeah.
And then Maim is the 3/2 rush that if you have 5 or more 11 cards in cemetery, then she gets a sail and on attack get +2/+1. So pretty good stats. Like honestly, for 5 play points, you're getting 5 play points worth of cards, but they all have such good effects that it's like crazy.
I mean, it's kind of like how the app ended up being too, right? Like at first, you get like a thing you get Oathless Knight, which is a 1/1 that summons a 1/1, and that costs 3, so you're overpaying. Yeah. Then eventually you get Dragon Knights, where you get Siegfried and Vayne or whatever. And then near the end of the app's life cycle, we had Musketeers, which is like the most broken card ever. So it's just the way card games go over time, I guess. Yeah.
She's also like pretty good. Like
Lunez, I believe her name
discard
is.
11 to search your deck for an Albert name card added to your hand.
Easy clap, dude.
Get
your storm.
She's choose an original cost X or lower Albert from your hand and play it. X equals the maximum play points you have. So she does evolve for 3, but that's still 4 play points to play a 6 cost.
You play it?
Turns. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Choose an Albert and play it.
That's crazy, dog.
And then she also has a bonus effect that during your turn when an Albert is played, you pay 1 play point, choose enemy follower, deal it 3 damage.
Wow.
That's funny.
I mean, Albert is kind of like the mascot boy for Swords, so about
just
time he gets his
shine.
shine.
A lot of like side games IPs, I think Albert's like.
Yeah, he's in Grand Blue too, isn't he?
Face.
Yeah.
Right.
He's in Grand Blue and he's in all of them. So.
Yeah. And then this one's also like 3 costs, but you may pay 2 more. So the regular effect is like deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, search your deck for a Ignideus and play it. And if you added 2 more costs to this, then you can search your deck for Levin Saber Albert and play it too. And Levin Saber Albert is the old one.
The original one, yeah. The old
but
one.
That's still like 5 play points to search, 6 play points worth of cards and do 3 damage to something.
And you thin your deck, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is winning as far as I understand.
So the Levin deck is I haven't really had too much time because my family was visiting and I got sick. So I haven't.
I mean, it was the holiday season, so
play
it is what it is.
Tournaments in this meta. So I haven't actually like played against Levin yet, but just reading the cards is already like, whoa, okay.
I mean, it's cool because Levin never really materialized as a real archetype in digital. So again, Evolve giving new life to these ideas.
Yeah. Then we had similar as like the Dragon one.
Supporting the DX
as well.
The DX set.
So a lot of stuff is from the starter deck, like this Anne. But in terms of new support, there is a new Anne who basically says you discard a Academy card to draw 1, and if you have 5 or more Academy cards in your cemetery, then she puts in Anne's great, what is it? Explosion?
The Great Sorcery, yeah.
Great Sorcery. Not this one, sorry. The Anne's one is the token spell. No, she puts
it's an advance?
Yeah, so she puts the token. She puts the token into your...
And summoning.
Yeah, the summoning, sorry.
Yeah.
Into your EX area. And it's a 2-cost 4/4 with Russian ward that start of your end phase banishes itself, but on fanfare heals you too. And
Right.
then
Okay.
she engages herself to choose a Exceed Blast from your Evolve deck, and you may play it, but you can only do this if you have 15 or more Academy cards in your cemetery. And Exceed Blast is a 3-cost spell that deals 8 damage to all enemy leaders.
Yeah, that's about right. Very similar to the app version, except for the app version requires you to banish your entire deck, and this is just have stuff in cemetery. It's a little easier, actually.
Play this 2-drop. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So a lot of the cards are from the starter deck for the most
That's
part.
good. That's good.
Yeah, so it's basically just support for that, which is good. Like, you need to support starter decks. IMO. And
True.
then finally, this card might give some trauma to the app players, though. I'm afraid, Mr. Jadelant.
The goat, dude.
Yeah.
That's my goat.
His Japanese name is Yaterantu.
Yeah, Yatalant. That's his name.
So
a lot of the same amulet support, like Kerne and Hind and all of them. Just like we're not running Alexiel anymore. We're just playing Yatalant instead. Is that what's going on here? Or?
Yeah. So for his effect, he fanfare banishes 2 amulets from your cemetery. Choose an opponent's follower and banish it, and then deal 3 damage to the enemy leader and heal 3 to your leader. And then as a activatable effect, you can choose a amulet and send it to cemetery. Choose a 3-cost or lower Haven follower or a 3-cost or lower Haven amulet from your hand and play it for free. But you can only do this once per turn. So you basically just like cycle something, and you have a bunch of amulets that do things on last words, like, you know, heal you 1, draw 1, or this one is like play a Holy Falcon on last words and stuff. So
it's really good.
Like destroy an opponent's 3-cost or lower follower and whatnot. So pretty good. I mean, it's basically like a bunch of burn damage, which, you know, I think the kids love burn damage, apparently. Good vibe.
Do you not like burn damage?
I mean, I played this deck in the app back then. I haven't really been playing Amulet Haven too much in Evolve, though. But, you know, it is a cool deck. Like, it's cool to see the decks that were good in the app actually be playable/good in Evolve too, right?
It's certainly different playstyle-wise than the Alexiel build that we had before, right? Because Alexiel just, you come down, you swing
It's boom,
for a
just big
bajillion.
damage, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Yatalant's more like, I'm going to cycle my amulets and let my amulets do the work. I kind of like that.
Yeah. And then to start off the year, this was the first week of January, basically, before we get into the Uma Musume release. We had, so this is basically Control Abyss. So there is a new, the new
Saha Israel
and Israfil that came out, which is a 7-cost 6/6 that has ward, and on fanfare plays a 6-cost or lower follower from your hand for free. And then at the end phase, that goes back to your hand. And then on Evolve, it has ward as a 7/7 that on Evolve says, choose another follower in the field and send it to the EX area. If you send it to your EX area, then you can play it on your field in the engage state. So
that's really crazy, because you can like you can cheat out the Dark Feast bet, and then you just deal 4 damage, recover play points, and the next turn you do it again.
Yep.
Gosh darn.
Yeah, so it's also kind of nice to see like older cards get used again. There was quite a few other events that I can maybe pop up later, where there was quite a few cards like from set 8 now that's coming out in English that suddenly are played all of a sudden. So that helps with my must-have lists, because these cards randomly become good.
Yeah, right.
We have a bit of a different angle on Haven as well, and then, or 2 different angles on Haven.
Couple different angles on Haven.
Going up in price a lot lately. So this is basically,
it's like ward.
It's ward Haven, or like what was the word we used for sword? Wasteland Haven, I guess you can also call it.
Yeah.
So you have Serena, who basically is like on attack, recover 2 play points. On fanfare, look at top 4, and then find a Wasteland card and a cost 2 or lower follower. From among them, 1 up to 1 each. Put them to your EX area. The rest goes to the bottom of the deck. And she also has Storm. And then, so that like, you have a bunch of like good targets for that as well. Like the Revolver Eagle and whatnot. That like make you like the cars and the bikes and everything. And then the Sadly, Mr. Anvil is not as crazy as he was in the app. He's a 6-cost 4/5 that has ward, and on Fanfare chooses 2 enemy followers, deals them 3 damage each, and then if you have a Wasteland card in your EX area, then also deals 2 damage to the enemy leader. So it's like kind of similar, but not as crazy as he was.
What have they done to my boy?
Yeah. He does evolve though. For 1, he keeps his ward, and on evolve he chooses 2 enemy followers, deals them 3 damage, and if you have a Wasteland, he deals 2 damage to the enemy leader. So it's like you do his effect twice. So instead of being like an AoE damage to everything and then like damage to the face that comes out from like countdowns, he's instead like a big body. So which is still fine, right? It's huge removal when you think about it, right? It's like potentially removes up to 4 things from your opponent's field if they have.
And Evolve 1 is pretty cheap too. One thing that I've caught my eye is the sniper that's 3 of and everything. Like how good is that?
Right.
Yeah, it's from a while ago too.
3/3 with ward on Fanfare. Choose a, so if you have 2 or more amulets between your field and your EX area,
that's good
then she deals 2 damage to all enemy leaders.
Oh, that's so good.
And then on evolve, she keeps her ward, becomes a 4/4, chooses an opponent's 3 health or 3 defense or lower follower, and banishes it. So
yeah, very similar to the app. Like just like the app, she's like a staple card in all Haven lists for as long as she exists. So.
Essentially. And then you have stuff like the Summer Alice that sees plays in this deck because she's like a 2-drop that draws you 1 on Fanfare and lets you choose an opponent's 4-cost or lower follower. And if it was played other than from hand, you send it to EX area. So it's like it's a good little like meta call in certain metas. There's also the Haven Fire as it's called in Japanese, which is if you have Selene on board, this costs only 1, and then you choose an opponent's follower, deal 4 damage. If you have a Wasteland card in your EX area, then it deals 1 damage to the enemy leader as well. So kind of similar. But it's kind of like, it's nice to see. Like this is an archetype that I really liked back in the app. So it's nice to see this one doing things.
Yeah.
But then if you're into control, then your good friend Marwyn is always here.
This deck's giving me nightmares in current throwback rotation for this month on the app. So like,
let me show you this card called World Break. So this is
it's
like, you see
it existed in the app too, but in the app it was just a 2-cost. Here it's
this
way
thing
more expensive.
is like, I feel like Japanese Evolve players post about this on social media more than any other card. Like even Uma Musume came out and everyone's like, "Wow, World Break is too much. I can't do this. World Break is too much." So World Break is an 8-cost neutral spell that says you take all cards on field and all cards in EX area between both players and banish everything. And then both players banish the top 10 cards of their deck.
What?
So it's just like complete. It's like
crazy.
famous on steroids. That is basically just like a control player's biggest dream. So
yeah, and you ramp into it with Morrowind too, kind
of. Yep, you can. And so then you just like you just wait. You know, it's like you still have the never-ending win con of like when you want to just like bring out your Zelganea advance, which like this is also coming out in English relatively soon. I mean, spoiler alert for what we'll talk about later, but yeah, it's
pretty quick.
It's pretty spooky card. This card was like really cheap on release, and now it's like I think it might be like $20 a pop or something. It really went up a lot. Or at least I saw it going up a lot at one point. Like it was like a huge increase of like a card that everyone slept on at the beginning. So
that's crazy.
It's been pretty interesting. Like there's been quite a lot of stuff coming out in Japan. So it's like we already have like more things announced, but you know, I really enjoyed this meta. We kind of talked about it in the last episode, and then after we filmed the last episode, I like just like went and played Latica a whole bunch. So really enjoyed this meta. But
I feel like I'm partially responsible for giving you the Latica brainworms, because when we were testing Heroes of Shadowverse way back like half a year ago, you were like asking me about what deck to play in that meta, and then suddenly you became a Latica guy.
I became a Latica guy, yeah. So, but the deck's really fun. I really enjoyed it in this meta too, but then didn't really play this meta too much. Like it was just very rough timing for me, I guess, in terms of like when the set released.
Yeah,
so
I mean the holiday season we're all busy. It's fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll definitely, you know, a lot of the decks from this set are still pretty popular, even in the Uma Musume meta that has also now come out too. But we'll talk about that more in the next episode. So that'll be some more to chat about. And also they've been revealing more and more things for, of course, set 14, which releases on Valentine's Day in Japan. So that's,
the Edge of Paradise.
Edge of Paradise. Like,
and they revealed, I mean, not to put the cart before the horse, but I'm just excited because they revealed Adult Itsurugi as a card, which didn't exist in the app. So I'm like,
yeah, it was just an
that's kind of hype,
right?
Yeah,
so we'll talk about that more next time. So overall, I'd say the set 13 is quite interesting, and it's like you still see a lot of like the Vanguard decks popping up. Well, I mean, just Overlord really popping up here and there. I really enjoyed this meta though. Like to me, I really enjoyed set 12. Was a very, very fun time. It's like a lot of decks got interesting support. There was like a cool Daria deck that like was doing quite well, and then it's like Dragon was doing really well too. It's like it felt like a lot of the classes were very well represented during that format.
Right, because it was like a additional wave of support of all these old favorites. So
yeah. Whereas this one's like Sekka was really like the main like kingpin of this format. I'd say I feel like it was really like Forests was the meta, and then it's like Dragon was like, Dragon and Room was kind of support for the starter decks, which was pretty cool. And then we did get like like Ceres and stuff, which of course is like fan favorite. Like these are super fan favorite cards from the app as well. Freaking Necromancer, this is like actual nightmares for app players.
I remember.
Yeah, I love all the damage. Speaking of nightmares,
don't show. Well, that clip from the Penguin or from the Batman, where the Penguin's like, "All right, what are you showing me? Come on!"
Sadly, nowhere near as traumatic, or sadly, maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe it's for the best.
So, and I was pretty happy because the one and only card I've ever revealed for App Shadowverse was in this set.
Yeah, your Blorbo.
Yeah,
she is.
So
anyway, pretty cool set.
Yeah.
There's some Evolve originals here too, like that fox in the middle there. That's never been in the app. I know every art in the entire app. That's never been in the app. So.
Yeah, true. You are like the encyclopedia. Yeah, I guess that's like the nice thing that they randomly just like drop support. Like Armed Dragon also got a bit of support. So a lot of the anime decks got like a card basically, which was kind of nice.
It's neat. Everybody's got their like weird pet deck that they just play, so it's like
yeah.
Having something is fun.
So
fair enough.
I'm trying to think in terms of major tournaments of this format. Was there? I feel like there was a major tournament during the previous format, which was the trying to remember. I think if I go to Bushinavi, I'll be able to find it.
Is it like one of those things where like the big tournament is the currently ongoing one, and like this one was kind of like a lull? It happens.
It does happen. I think I can actually try to find because you can actually sort results on Bushinavi by date, which is really nice. So we can look at like when did this set released on. It's like the
11th,
13th,
no, the 13th of December. Yeah, the same day as Restriction came out.
After we recorded the last one. I feel like there was. Oh, did it unselect? Wonderful.
We're keeping this all in, by the way.
Oh yeah.
This entire thing, we're keeping it in.
It's all in there.
Not editing this one out. It's part of the experience. This is like a hangout sesh with the boys. Okay.
With the boys.
If it was too overproduced, it would lose that charm.
I'm trying to see. What day was it on this event? This Grand Championship. There we go.
Hey, you found it.
Yeah.
The one with the Ayala art. Interesting.
Yeah. We showed this on the.
We did, like last episode. We talked about this briefly, I believe.
This was on the 17th. Yeah, this like happened like right after we recorded, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe we did talk about the results. Maybe I'm just hallucinating, actually. Pretty epic.
Epic.
But anyway,
dude.
So this is something. Maybe you learned something new today. That you can look at tournament results based on the time when they happened. So it's like,
I mean, that is a cool feature.
That's like the really nice thing of if you want to catch up on like, oh, like what was strong during this particular meta. It's like you can go like to the products page and then you can see, oh, this came out on the 13th. Okay, then like let me plug in, you plug in December 13th until the next format, which would then be like January 10th, right? So basically plug in until January 9th, and then you get to see yourself, like, boom, do a big search, and then you can see here, like, this number here means how many players were in the tournament, or this, if it says, it's like, so if it's one character, it means person. If it's two characters with a line that says team. So you can then scroll through and like look at the ones with like a lot of people participating. Like this one has like 40, right? So it's like, okay, that means, you know, it's a bit harder to win in. And then you see it's like, oh, it's Wasteland, right? Wasteland was still good in this format. Second place, oh, would you look at that? It's still Kagero. So you get to really scroll through things and see what was good during that format too, which I think is pretty nice.
This is a good segment.
It is a good segment.
Different,
you get to
different fights.
Whoa, arm dragon. That's crazy.
That is epic.
So yes, that has been just a discussion, I guess, of like how the meta's been moving and schmoving in the Japanese side, which I think is interesting stuff. You know, always interesting to look at in terms of how things are evolving.
Oh, he said it.
He said it. No way. But you know, moving on from that, right before the Uma Musume release, or right after the Uma Musume release, I want to say.
I think it was like around the same time.
Yeah, it was like the same, like a day after.
Weekish. A couple days after. Yeah.
Was the like New Year's Bushiroad announcement stream. So this was like for every Bushiroad IP, not just the card games, but like the music, the wrestling, the everything.
That's right.
And they gave some interesting reveals. So of course, like Uma Musume was already out by then. So they basically said like there's the Grand Prix Winter, which is happening as we're recording this. And then there's also the CS prize for Uma Musume Meta is like this really pretty reprint of Special Week, and there's only 150 of them in the world, so they're all serial numbered, so each of them has their own number. So it's definitely a big prize that people are aiming for. And then March 1st and 2nd will be the Japan Championships, which is again same as last year. So this will be taking place during the set 14 format, basically. It'll be
interesting. Like so after the Edge of Paradise stuff comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, so we'll take a look at some of the reveals from that in the next episode, I believe. So
yeah. So it'll be like a good way to like the next episode will basically be like a warm up to this. So you'll get to. Yeah. We'll probably record it maybe like right after the release. So maybe like the first few CSs of that weekend will be done, so we can look at some early results too. So that way it's a little bit of a preview of what's to come.
Right. So, this is just the format of the tournament.
Yeah, basically the same as usual. You have 7 rounds of Swiss, and then top 8 will be played out in day 2. And then the winner gets this beautiful Sekka alt art with no effect. So they've been doing that since last year, basically. So only one in the world. How do you rate it?
I'm not the biggest Sekka fanboy, personally, but it is a beautiful art. I mean, they always go out for this. Like, the last one was the Machina Sisters, right? Like that also was beautiful. So, and I do appreciate that it's completely original art that we've never seen, not in the app, not in anything. So that's always giving it more value too.
Yeah, and if you qualify, so only the winner gets the card, but if you qualify, you do get the playmat, storage box, deck holder, and 2
Melvy.
So pretty good. And Melvy is the promo card.
Randomly, Melvy is the promo. Interesting.
So that's also another little bonus you get. So this is how you can, this is the progression just for participating. You get all this. If you get top 8, you get the 2 extra copies of the Melvy, and then the winner gets the Sekka as well. So I like the playmat makes the art look even better, I think, because it's like nice and centralized, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I do
think, honestly, from the 3 years of JCS prizes, I still don't think they've topped the Alice.
Yeah, I'd probably.
I do think the Alice is still the best one. Like that one is like, even if you're not an Alice fan, that like it just looks so good.
You're not incorrect.
And then exciting
this is hype
for me and Igni basically is the.
No, come on, everybody likes the Omens.
Yeah,
Fit Marwin, come on.
So the second Omen set, or second main Omen set, I guess we did get support for Omens once. Will be the 3rd anniversary set, releasing on April 11th. So my girl's back. I'm happy, more than happy. And so all these archetypes will get supported again. I think at this point it's like, even if you're just like a Omen Andy, you can just like come back to Shadowverse every time Omens get support, basically.
Every year, every anniversary set, like, hey, it's a new Omen set.
There's something Omen related every anniversary at this point. So, but there's quite a lot of like 30 legendaries. I think it's a bit more than usual, if I'm not mistaken. And then 28 golds, 28 silvers, 40 bronzes, 2 SPs. We'll see who gets the SP treatment. And then 7 URs and 30 SLs. So
Ooh, 7 URs? We're not getting a UR for each omen? Damn.
I guess not. I mean, I guess we don't usually get one for each omen. So maybe they'll try to do the ones.
We'll do the ones we missed out on last time.
Yeah. But we all know it's going to be like Lishan and Galmio again. Like, they know what people want.
That's true.
Then there's 6 tokens, 2 of which are reprints. And then 3rd anniversary serial number cards of 10 different types.
Oh, we already got a look at it here. Yeah,
Yep.
Lashana.
So basically,
Makes sense.
only 10 of each in the world of each of the omens that you can pull. They are going to be the same as the 2nd anniversary. No like text on them or anything. But the thing that probably is the best part of this is there's a box topper promo pack that has 10 types of tokens and 8 types of leader cards. And
Ooh.
the basically like each box topper pack has 2 cards in it, which is going to be like essentially one or the other, I guess. Like I don't know if it's like you get like one of the 2 will 100% be premium foil, and they will also like sometimes be a leader.
Interesting.
So the leaders this time around are the Arcanas.
That is gorgeous. Oh
Yeah,
my
the Milteo's
Lord. I mean,
really-
Milteo is one of my favorite. I mean, in gameplay they're a menace, but art-wise they're one of my favorite favorite cards. So it's gorgeous, man.
And these are readable leaders, by the way. So it does say that these are readable by
They're
the way.
box toppers, but they're scannable.
Yes. So that's actually very nice. It really does feel like an anniversary for that.
It does, yeah. That's awesome.
So you basically have
Heck yeah.
Forget the English names of all of them, but like Dofrato is the you know,
Wolfrod.
Wolfrod. Oluwan, Linkle, Iranta, the dragon one. Ernst, yeah. Then Luzin, Milteo, Sofina, and Slaus will be the. So basically have 1 for Force, 1 for Sword, 1 for Rune, 1 for Dragon, 2 for Abyss, because I guess there's 2 classes in Abyss technically, and 2 for Haven, which is
because Portal is in Haven.
Is in Haven, I guess.
I will say this is a tangent, unrelated, but I'll just say it. I got a DM. One of the guys who opened a cereal from the last anniversary pack, like he got robbed, and the cereal got like ripped up, and
Oh
like
my god!
so that cereal, that one is now technically more valuable because
gone.
it's
Oh
only
my
9
God,
now.
That's so scary. What the hell?
Crazy, yeah. I mean, he's okay, thank God. But
Yeah,
like,
maybe I don't want to pull a cereal actually.
his house is no, because the robber didn't know the card was valuable. Like,
Oh.
so the card ended up getting like thrown around and stuff.
Oh no.
So yeah, so now technically that one there's only 9 now,
That's
which is
crazy. Wow.
crazy thing to think about. I was unrelated. I just remembered that story when we were talking about serial numbers. I was like, no.
That's like,
That's
when
wild.
your friend pulls like some like crazy rare thing from a gacha game, and then
Right.
you go like, oh, I hope you don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, and then it's like that's actually
say
like,
that?
manifested. It's like, they got so lucky with pulling a cereal, they got robbed. Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
That's
but
scary,
I mean,
dude.
it would be, the robber didn't know the cereal was valuable. Like he just took his like
Yeah,
computer or
everything in
whatever.
moderation,
But
bro. Everything luck is in moderation.
I don't think it was the cereal that got him robbed. Just a bad coincidence.
This is
but
like you
yeah.
saying, dude, shut up. Stop talking.
No, because like if it was the cereal that got him robbed, like he would have lost the cereal, but he found it like all ripped up or whatever. It's like damn.
Damn, that's so
GG.
sad though. At least they could have kept it in good condition.
Anyway,
That tangent
just an
aside.
unrelated story that I remembered randomly.
So the last thing from the announcement stream, which I guess for better or worse was also one of the main things that ended up becoming a discussion topic.
Lots of discourse about this one. Yeah, it's like
Yep, in
monthly
the Japanese
releases.
side.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so as you can see, this is the like the roadmap. So, you know, in January we had Uma, next month we have set 14. March there's no releases, but there is both a JCS and they say there is a large scale tournament in planning. And then
Okay.
April we have the anniversary set. And so until now this has always been like this, where we like main booster sets always have a 2-month gap between them, right? Because before this was December, also mid-December, right? But This yellow arrow here basically says that May, June, July, there will be new products released every month. And
does that mean main set or collab sets?
It does not mean main set. So this can technically mean that we're gonna just have like May will be a starter deck and June will be a main set and July will be another starter deck. But then these EX packs, like the Uma one, it's like it doesn't technically rule out stuff like that being part of this too. And like the Uma one did shake up the meta a lot. So in the end, it is still, you know, cards that everyone kind of wants. So, you know, some people were definitely like pointing out, saying like, hey, you know, it's like if these are main sets, then there's a lot to keep up with every single month, right? It's like it's definitely, you know, especially with if it's like really strong stuff. But I personally am hoping that, you know, it's just like starter product and stuff like that.
It would be great to get a clarification because like the speculation is obviously people are dooming and zooming. Like so yeah.
So, but there will be also the Card Game Festival on May 3rd and 4th, which for those of you going to Worlds, anyone that's qualified to Worlds gets a free ticket to day 1 of this.
It's also just like what, right after Worlds, no? Because Worlds is May 1 and 2, so that May 3 and 4 is. So if you're there in Japan already, might as well, eh?
Yeah, 100%. At least check it out. There's always like exclusive merch and stuff, and it's just a good time. So at least hop by. It's gonna be.
I'll be there.
Yep, we'll both be there. And then they also have plans for big events in June. So I mean, this is already a big event technically. So the month after is also gonna be another one.
I can't read Japanese, but they use the character for big twice in that line. So
yeah,
it's got to be.
That guy. So it's like large scale, and then tournament has big in it too.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and then they do plan things beyond, you know, throughout the second half of 2025. So look forward to those announcements too. But what did you think of all this? Like the announcements they made from this one? I feel like the Omen stuff is really, really cool. I'm definitely very
obviously the Omens is what I'm most hyped about because it's like anniversary sets are always like the most value to pull from, obviously. That's what I was excited about. I think it's interesting that they're sort of like they're kind of because before we had like some main sets that weren't related to story stuff from the app, but now it's like basically story set after story set after story set. So I wonder if they're gonna keep going with that. Like, are we gonna get Academy next? Are we gonna get
it's not much.
We're reaching the end here, like Academy and then Heroes, and then that's it. And then what do we go from there? So that's
I think
the
there's
big
still
question.
A couple more.
Yeah.
After Academy and Heroes, or outside of Academy and Heroes, there should be a few more. But the thing is that it's also like we still haven't had a Shadowverse flame set yet, like a second flame set with a lot of those archetypes in there.
True. So but I wonder if that's even going to be a thing because Flame's already over. So like, is that?
Yeah, but I feel like they still could easily like make a set out of that. You know,
they could.
Or starter decks. Like, hey, I'd be really happy about starter decks with like exclusive cards in them. And then there's the other thing is, of course, like as we approach like Worlds Beyond coming out, you know, English announced Worlds Beyond stuff.
That is going to be a thing we talk about over
something Worlds Beyond related.
Fingers crossed, right? Like that's going to be something we talk about on my half of the episode. But like it looks like Worlds Beyond and Evolve is getting crossover content. So
yeah. So
2025 is certainly going to be an interesting year. Not even just for Evolve, but like for the Shadowverse IP as a whole. So we'll see, and we'll cover it as it happens on this podcast. So look forward to that, I guess.
So yeah, and then there was basically a few miscellaneous things. One thing that Tomoda-san tweeted out was that basically a lot of card shops and like related people, like I guess, you know, he's a commentator, so got sent these New Year's cards. Like we also got some stuff too for English. So we got so in Japan this year it's the Senka the Seka promo, but it's a
You're thinking of a different card game when you talk about Senka.
He's like a 7 cost with 20 attack and 25 defense. And then
that's OP, bro. Oh my god.
Her fanfare is everyone rolls a dice and you make a wish for you get your fortune for this year. So people that rolled 1 or 2 get small fortune. People that roll 3 or 4 get like middle fortune.
Wait, that's funny actually.
And people that roll 5 or 6 get big fortune, big luck.
That's actually really funny.
And then it says this cannot be used in official tournaments or events.
I would hope so. It'd be crazy if you like rock up to an official tournament, you play this, you curse of Ra your opponent, and they have bad luck for the rest of the
damage,
year.
Plus bad luck, plus L plus ratio. Like it's pretty dramatic. So yeah,
anyway, that is cool. Too. That is neat. Yeah.
And then, of course,
they really showered the love on Seka this year. Hey, like she's the guy, I guess.
She's the main one.
Yeah.
So then, right now happening is the Kyoto Grand Prix. It's the first Grand Prix since the September one that happened in Chiba. So it's been quite a while. Makes sense. So that's happening as we speak. There is a stream happening. You can watch the archive of as well. The prizes this time, there's a top 64 playmat for Umamusume. But the prizes are the same as the September one, so it's still the Bunny and Baron that we showed last time around. Too.
I mean, it's beautiful though. The Bunny and Baron wedding rare is crazy. Listen, okay, stop making fun of me. Okay? This is a safe space.
This is a safe space. So that's been happening throughout the weekend, and of course, as we already kind of showed it, but the Japan Championship also has its own website. There will be a Japanese stream that you can tune into and check out as well. And they basically have like all the stuff we already showed you just on here as well.
Whoa! Relax! That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah. You can see all the players that qualified. We were here for this one, remember?
I do. I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, Fukuoka. So you can see all the players that have qualified, and whether it was through like the area qualifiers. It's nice seeing some friends like Kenyo and Asako no Hito. Some people we've seen from the previous streams too, like Takpon. Just in general, a lot of players like re-qualified, so it's nice. And then all like the grand championships and whatnot. So you get the full rundown of all the players, and there's still more that will be added from Kyoto as well. Engawa, I will say, the beast managed to make it back.
Yeah, that's true. He is a beast. I will say I'm very appreciative. If you're on the audio only format, you know, the esports pose is that they just cross their arms, and none of them are doing it here. And I gotta say thank you to the photographer for telling them not to just cross their arms for every photo.
So it's very nice. I like it too. It's good vibes.
Heck yeah.
That'll be happening as well. And then to end off this part, I guess just before we do that, there was a, I guess not so happy announcement that Yuiko, one of the Japanese ambassadors that's been an ambassador from the very beginning of the game, will actually, as of the JCS that is happening on March 1st and 2nd, she will be graduating as an ambassador on March 2nd, I suppose. So
that's right. We've actually filmed videos with Yuiko before on the official Shadowverse Evolved channel. We want to thank Yuiko for all of her hard work, and we hope that she has success in whatever she does next, because great person, great vibes. So thank you, Yuiko.
100%. So it's definitely going to be, she's always the one doing like the calls at the start of the events, like the Batoru Shadowverse, right at the very beginning. So it'll definitely be a little bit lonely without her doing that. But I'm sure, there's still chances to meet her. If you're in JCS, or if you're in Kyoto in this weekend, then you had a chance. And she also has an event happening too. I think if I go to her X, you can actually see there was an announcement yesterday that she has one more tournament that she's going to be kind of like organizing, which, it might be on the official Shadowverse account. I feel like this is a good
just
time
scrolling through her food pics and stuff.
Yeah.
Live on the pod.
Everyone likes a good food pic. That's what social media is there for.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, all right. Dude, I feel you. But
we're recording this at like noon. I haven't eaten lunch yet. Stop
yeah,
showing me Yuiko's food pics.
Yep. There we go. I found it. So
there
there's a Yuiko CS happening. The teams tournament on
Wait, it's called the Yuiko CS?
Yeah, she's had quite a few. So it's not
that's so cool. I didn't know that.
So she's for people that still want to go and meet her before she graduates, this is your last chance.
Is that a Jerva altar?
Yeah, that's like the winner's card for the CSs.
I gotta book his flight, dude.
Time. Team up with like some of the best players and ask them to carry you.
I mean, Jerva is one of my Blorbos. That's one of the sickest arts I've ever seen. It's not in the app either. Cool. I gotta get that right now.
It goes hard.
Before it becomes like $10 bajillion and I have to buy it off somebody. I gotta win it myself.
True. So yeah, that was just a little side note. And then finally, to wrap up my part, is we're going to be going through some of the must-have cards from this expansion. So
yeah, please do. I'm taking notes here. I only know really. I'm a dragon main, as you all know, so I got my dragon cards. But for the other classes, I'm like, I know Orcus is Orcus is good, and Rose Queen's good. But what else is in there that I'm missing here, Chris?
Yeah, so just gonna quickly adjust a little bit here so it's a little bit more visible. Give me just.
I gotta say, respect to the Tart man actually being played in some decks too as just a unconditional tutor. I'm saying that right now just because I see it in the bottom left there.
Yeah. It's like so. I guess we'll go through each class real quick. I don't want to like spend too much time on everything, and just kind of working through quite a few of the cards that saw play. So of course what was the English name for this one? Like Anomaly?
Altar Plane Arbiter.
Arbiter, right? Oh, just give me 1 second.
I have all of it's up here, man.
That's why we're a team. So the Arbiter was played in initially it was played in 2-cost decks, because you could basically like declare a number and then reveal top 5 or like mill top 5 cards of your deck and then deal damage to all your opponent's followers equal to how many cards of that cost you milled.
So it's got some natural synergy with the Rose Queen card that came out the set as well.
And then later down the line, it was played in 1-cost Sword after the Vanguard booster came out. So that was quite good. So definitely say like you want to pick up at least 3-2 if you want to play those specific decks. So it's like a very like specifically in those kinds of decks, but you know, as the game's card pool expands, this card will still continue to be usable because it just does a very unique gimmick that, you know, other decks don't. So I'd say this is pretty good pickup if you're interested in those. Sylvia was actually a counter pick because of her in-hand effect to pay 2 and discard her to destroy an opponent's 5-cost or greater original cost follower. So this was kind of used against like specific things like it was used against Forest for a bit. This was also like anytime a annoying 5-cost thing was around, this would basically be used. So it was also like used against like, because Faust, if I'm not mistaken, was 5-cost as well for Earthright. So you also like just basically had like this is like an answer to those. So I feel like it's not like a card that like shapes the meta or anything, but it's good. It's like a tech.
Yeah. You can pick it up.
Tech to pick up. Tartman was running quite a few things. Basically 4-cost 4/4 that on Fanfare lets you search your deck for any card and add it to your hand. So in very
from what I've seen,
combo decks, it was good.
It's like a one of most of the time, but yeah, just like being able to just get something that you need to pop off on one of your later turns
for it too.
Yeah.
So then I guess like the Ephemera was also played quite a bit. 1-cost 2/1 with a rush that Fanfare basically says that if your opponent has 3 or more cards on their field, she gets +1 attack and assail. So just like good for like clearing tall things because it's like a 1-drop 3/1. So definitely quite good for that. So I'd say it's also a good pickup. And then the Strike is basically a 3-drop that choose an opponent's 4-cost or lower card on the field and destroys it. And if you have 2 or less cards in hand, then also deals damage to the enemy leader as well.
So this is what we were talking about, where this set does have like a card or 2 for each of the omens, and this is like an omen themed card here, Slash of the One. So.
Yeah, Slash of the One. So I think those are kind of like the main ones. I think if you're really unsure, like Ephemera is safe, Tartman is safe to pick up, and then she's good in certain metas, and this is if you're interested in specific decks.
Makes sense. All right.
In terms of classes, Orcus will be good for a long time, and honestly, Puppet gets support here and there. Like this deck really stays good for quite a long time. So I'd say, like, if you're interested in Orcus, then you're picking up all the Orcus related cards, like Orcus herself and her evolved form, of course. You know, she has the 2 sides of herself too.
Right. So, the Vengeful Puppeteer and the Resolute Puppet. Yeah.
Yep. And then
but I will say, like, in this meta, it's like what Puppet and Rose Queen are like the big things that people have their eye on. So yeah,
exactly. So I'd say like Zwei, you definitely want there as well. Liam, you definitely want as well. The
Heartless Battle.
Yeah, Battle you definitely want. Then the Junk you definitely want. So those are like the main Puppet pieces. In terms of generics, the Michelle, is that her English name?
That's correct. You got it.
She is a 1-drop 1/1 that evolves for 2 to search your deck for a 5-cost or greater follower and add it to your hand. So Orcus is a 3-drop, but there's this card called Anastasia that came out during Idolmaster that is a technically an originally 5-drop card. So this searches out your Anastasia, which is like, another generic card that's always used. So just for that, I'd say that Michelle's a really good pickup generically. And anytime there's a 5 cost or greater good forest follower, you're going to want it. So it's pretty good for that. And then if you're a hunter player, then there's also a bit of hunter support in here too that I'd say is good to pick up here and there. So mainly, like you have the token. This was used in Roach back in the day, I remember, in the app.
Yes,
right?
because in the app it draws you 2. Yeah. But in this, it's a little different, I imagine.
Yeah, choose an opponent's follower, gives it -2 attack, and then for 1, you can engage it and bury it to choose a 2-cost or lower card from, or a hunter follower from your cemetery and play it.
Interesting, yeah. And there's that Storm Hunter we got from the Colosseum set as well that you can maybe cheat out with this. So.
Exactly. So for Forest, it's mostly like, are you building Orcus or not, is what it comes down to. And Orcus stuff really does age quite well. And otherwise, it's basically you're either picking up hunter support or you're getting just Michelle's, I'd say. So it's like branching paths that, it's easy to talk about in this like more casual podcast format. Than,
we're just guys being dudes. Dude. Don't worry about it.
So for Sword, definitely Ether. It's a generic searcher for any knights. So you basically get to search for any knight from your deck and add it to your hand, and then also buffs. So it's used for quite a long time as well. The Panther Knight,
Sword Flash Panther.
Yeah, Panther's used for a bit too. It has Rush as a 4/3/4 cost. That if you have you choose a 2-cost or lower sword follower in your cemetery and play it and give it +1 attack. So it's good
pretty
for
cool.
Like, reusing certain cards. And then otherwise, Sword has like a few interesting cards. There's like a little bit of like Octra support here. This like 4-cost spell that basically says you choose any number of your opponent's followers and deal 4 damage between them. And if you have 10 or more cards in your cemetery, you deal 8 damage instead. And if you have 20 or more cards in your if your opponent has 10 or more cards in the cemetery, and then if your opponent has 10 or more cards in the cemetery, then you deal 8 damage to the opponent's leader. So it's pretty good. So there's a little bit of support for Octress, this one too.
Yeah, the Zealot is here too. I think each of the Omens got their Zealot basically. So.
Yeah. So it's like mill the top card of your opponent's deck. If they have 10 or more in the cemetery, then you put the top card of your deck into your EX area, which, technically works with Octress too. So
it's a draw basically, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I guess like Roland was used a little bit, not too much. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a must-have that ages super well, but there was also the Azordo. He's basically a 4-cost 3/4 with War that evolves for 3, but on evolve he chooses a 2-cost 2-cost or lower sword followers and plays them from cemetery. So
God, what's his title in the game again? Duke of the Mists, I believe. Duke of the Mists. Just some random guy. He got like a really cool title.
So Sword is a little bit on the like lower side this time, I guess. But
just pick up Ethers basically.
Yeah, Ether is just like I'd say the really important card to pick up generically.
Right.
Rune has a bit more. Medusa's used like for literally ever, I'd say.
Yeah, Medusa is incredibly strong, like forever.
He just does really good things. Like every time your opponent's follower leaves play, you get a funny snake token, and then on Fanfare she searches for a 2-cost or lower card and adds it to hand. So it's like very generic. And on Evolve, she lets you like basically send 2 of your snake tokens to Cemetery to make the next card you play this turn cost 2 less. And on Evolve, really she also chooses 2 opponent's followers and like deals 5 damage between them. So just does so much in one card. It's like
you can get 2 to 3 snakes just from evolving her, and then it's exactly. And then also the discount effect is quick, right? So you can use it on a quick spell technically. Too. Crazy stuff.
She's
and by the way, just to tell the app players, the Serpent token in SVE, I believe, has Bane as well, so it's better than the app version. Yeah.
And then she's been played recently for her hand effect. You can discard her to draw 1, and then you discard her to draw 1 and then discard 1 more. So it's like basically like spell chain setup card.
Just cycle,
Yeah. And then this spell is also really, really good. It's a 2-cost.
God, what's it called? Alchemical Discovery, I want to say, but I don't know. I don't know for sure.
It is Discovery. So it's a quick 2-cost that lets you draw 2 and discard 1. So again, it's like spell chain, dream come true.
Not bad.
Rabbit Mage was played in Earthright. On Fanfare makes you It makes you an Earth Sigil. On Evolve, looks at top 4 for a card that performs Earthright and you add it to your hand. So
it starts getting really good in what, set 9-10. So
sorry,
probably pick that up
in set. Yeah, the next 2 sets basically, especially the next one, it's going to be played in. So definitely pick it up if you're building Earthright. And then there's just like the rune stuff. This set, like this is where runes start. Like this is like the like, what is it? The forewarning before rune becomes like tier 0.
It's like
so
the setup, the foreshadowing.
Yeah. Legion, I guess,
we got Joy of
support too.
Yeah, Zealot and Joy of Destruction and all that.
Yeah, Zealot's like on fanfare. If you have 3 or more idle cards, you choose an opponent's follower, destroy it, and deal 2 damage to them and heal your leader 2.
That is really good.
Yeah, and then
it's kind of just like more of what Lashano is already doing with their spell. So it's like it's just that spell on a stick. So okay.
Then you get a 0-cost spell that basically, if you have an idle card in play, recovers a play point. And if you have Legion in play, you draw 1. So like it also has idle in its trait too. So it's literally just good stuff. It's really just good stuff.
What's the most important though for the Medusa? Probably
nothing more important than Medusa. Like Medusa and this for Spell Chain, this for Earthright, these 2 for Legion, I'd say like are by far the biggest priorities.
Right. So for the audio listeners there, that's the Alchemical Discovery for Spell Chain, and then all the Zealot stuff for the Omens. So there you go.
Then for
Dragon. Now this one I do know. Azidahaka, the goat, dude.
Based Galmu enjoyers, make sure you pick up these 2. So,
yeah, Zealot and Sneer of Disdain. Sneer lets you activate Galmu Evolve on turn 5, so you definitely want that. So
this says, when your Galmu is played, if this is in the cemetery, you can banish it to deal 1 damage to one of your followers. And otherwise, you can play as a 1-cost spell that deals 1 damage to any follower on the field.
Literally play it in the early game or pitch it, and then you just get a turn 5 Galmu activation. It's so good.
This card is also a meme in Japan because the voice line for it in app is like, Udon nanoyo. And then they made like udon out of Galmu, basically, Galmu themed udon because of the meme.
What does the voice line actually mean? It's not talking about udon, is it?
No, it's not. It's like it's basically it's useless. Is sort of what she's saying.
Gotcha.
If I remember correctly. But then Zealot is really good. Fanfare is like 2/2/2. Fanfare deal 1 damage to every single follower in play. And then during your turn, when she takes effect damage, she deals 1 damage to the enemy leader. So you can ping her twice.
It damages herself too, right? So
yes, exactly.
And you just recycle this off of the Galmu Evolve, so it's like really good.
And then
that card, Ice Soul Princess or whatever her name is, I forgot. It's really, really good. It's like 3 of and everything. As far as
she was played a lot when she came out. So she's really good. 3-cost 3/3 that looks at top 5, finds a dragon, like dragon. What's the trait again in English?
Wormkin, I think. Maybe?
Wormkin, I think. Yeah. So Wormkin.
I can look it up in English. Hold up.
Yeah.
It's out.
Put it to EX somewhere. Area. Rest goes to bottom deck. And if you're an overflow, the next time you play that, it costs 3 less. So
yeah, so good.
One of the targets is Azidahaka. And Azidahaka is a 6-cost 5/6 that on Fanfare, if you can basically like flip 3 things in your evolve deck face up to choose an opponent's follower and destroy it. And then it evolves for 2 and has Storm as a 7/8. So sometimes you just play it just for the Storm. You don't even like do the destruction. So it becomes a 7/8 Storm that on evolve, if you have 5 or more cards face up in your evolve deck, you heal 3, which Dragon doesn't have much healing at this point in English. And if you have 8 or more cards face up in your evolve deck, then you choose you deal 3 damage to all enemy leaders. It does say 8 or more evolve followers, so technically like advanced spells and whatnot, it's a bit different, but just keep that in mind, I guess, for the future. So I'd say honestly more like those are the cards that are the must-haves. Like the 2 Galmu cards if you're playing Galmu, of course. This one's just good in everything. And then
Dragon Soul Princess
too. And then like the Otohime was played in aggro
PDK.
Dragon a little bit, but that's
mostly for
like
PDK procs, right?
Deck.
Yeah. It's like if PDK is your Blorbo deck, then you can get the Otohime. Otherwise, like the generic stuff is like definitely pick up Azidahaka.
Yeah. 100%.
And Dragon Soul Princess for sure.
Yep. And then Abyss ate really well this set, and a lot of the cards aged really well too. You had like support for the Omen decks, of course, but more than anything, Rose Queen. Rose Queen was one of the best decks in this format. Basically, it's like Rose Queen remade into Abyss, becomes a 6-cost 4/4 that you evolve after she makes a thorn in your EX area on Fanfare. And then on Evolve, she basically says that every time you play a 2-cost card, you choose one of the following. Either deal 2 damage to all enemy followers and heal your leader 2, or deal 2 damage to all enemy leaders. And on Evolve, she lets you reveal your entire hand, and for every 2-cost card that you reveal from this, you recover a play point. So you basically farm up a hand of 2 costs and then recover all the play points you used to play her and evolve her, and then you just play a bunch of 2 costs and just burn your opponent's field or burn your opponent's life. So one of the big, most relevant cards of the set, I'd say. And then this guy Tartarus, he's played a lot now. Like, he aged really well.
So he takes a while to get going, but you should probably pick him up now.
Because he's like Shisha, which is what freaking what's his name again? The train conductor man.
No, the train. Oh, Icelandrig.
Yeah, Mr. Ice. So Ice is also Shisha. So that whole wave of Icelandrig support basically brought support for this archetype. So he says when you play him, if you have 15 or more like Shisha in your cemetery, his cost becomes -5. So you play him for 5. And then he evolves for 1 to choose a follower, like a Shisha follower from your cemetery, and just play it while he's an 8/8. And then he also has a hand effect to like pay 1, put himself to EX area, and then you look at top 2, choose a Shisha card from them, and reveal it, add it to your hand, and the rest goes to cemetery. So like this is good for Icelandrig. So if you're like just a Abyss player in general, like just pick this up. This will be very good in the future. So don't miss out. And then there's a bunch of like 2-cost. All the 2-cost stuff, like the Pura was played a lot.
Vuela, I believe in English, yeah.
Yeah. And then most of the other 2-costs are actually from older sets. So you don't need to pick up too much. Let's say those are like the most important stuff. If you play the Omen decks, pick up the Omen cards. Like pretty straightforward, I'd say. So yes.
But yeah, Rose Queen is like by far, like just get it. Like,
yeah,
it's
100%.
It's so good.
And finally, Haven. We already kind of talked about her earlier, but Alexiel is good for a very long time. So definitely pick up Alexiel. She's a 7-cost 4/4 that heals your leader X on Fanfare. X equals the amount of amulets you have in play times 2. So this can be up to 8. And then when you evolve her for 1,
just nuts. You
choose an opponent's follower and deal it damage equal to double the amount of your followers as well, of your amulets, as well as your opponent's leader. So 8 damage to an enemy follower and the enemy leader, but you do have to target a follower, otherwise this does not activate.
Yeah. But if they do this back to back on you, you're just like, okay, well, GG.
Absolutely deep fried.
I am cooked, yeah.
Then this spell is played a lot in Control, or just in general. It's a good Haven card. It's a quick 2-cost that during your turn you can play it, but on your opponent's turn, you can choose 2 enemy followers and deal 4 damage between the 2 of them. So it's
something Radiance. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
In English, but yeah.
It is a Kagayaki, so it does sound like a Radiance.
Vengeful Radiance.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Sekhmet also played an Amulet theme deck, so definitely want to pick her up too. Engage, choose a Amulet on your field and send it to Cemetery. Choose an opponent's follower, deal 4 damage, and then 1 leader to the opponent. One damage to the opponent's leader as well.
1 leader to the opponent's damage.
Yes, exactly. And then I guess like the unique card was like a 2-cost follower that evolves into an amulet, which is
Eidolon of Madness. Very, very. I wouldn't say fan favorite, but among Haven memers, we have fond memories of this card in digital for sure. Yeah.
So it's like on Fanfare, if you have 3 or more amulets, it becomes 0 to evolve. Otherwise, it's 2. When it evolves, it chooses an opponent's follower and banishes it. And on last words, it deals 3 damage to all enemy leaders. So
it's very it's such an interesting thing. Like a follower that becomes an amulet is just not something you'd expect.
Not very conventional, yeah.
No, you know.
Yeah. So that's basically, I'd say, like for Haven, 100% Alexiel is your most important stuff, but then like Sekhmet and the Radiance, I'd say, are also very good pickups too. So
cool.
Those are basically the main ones. But yeah, the set is going to be quite impactful just because like in terms of like the really strong decks coming out of it, we're going to have Orcus, we're going to have, of course, like Sword's kind of just like chilling, I guess, this set, but like Rune gets really, really good with Medusa. And basically,
as far as I understand,
Medusa's played in Lishana. Lishana gets really good this set. And the next set is when Earthright comes out. And then Earthright goes absolutely bonkers for a while. And then like Dragon, like Galmu is really good for Dragon, and Aggro Dragon is also pretty good in this set too. Rose Queen is like really good for Abyss, so that's also pretty good. And then Haven has like Amulet. Haven is an archetype that like started off a bit slow, but good amulets keep coming out. So your Brodia investment early will last for a very long time. So
that's Alexiel for English speakers.
Actual stonks, basically. Sorry, yeah.
Alexiel is called Brodia in Japanese.
Yeah, she's called Brodia in Japanese.
Why did they change it? Who knows?
Without thinking.
Who knows why they did that?
So that's basically, I'd say like it's a nice set because a lot of the classes are meta. It was actually like I really enjoyed this format. I think it's like, you know,
I think the support they gave to the previous stuff is good too, because that means each class has at least like 2 playable decks that you can go for. Like I'm already building like the Galmu deck, obviously, but also like running Azida Haka, PDK, Otohime, like that as a build. That's another thing I might bring to locals. So it's just a fun set because everything's got at least 2 things you can try. So it's good.
Exactly, yeah. So honestly, really, really good stuff. And I'm excited for the set, and I hope that everyone else watching is too. And I guess before we finish off my part, it's already, you know, long enough as it is. We just have our usual comment corner. So this time's comment is from Leon Skyridge. So they said, Crosscraft sounds amazing. Ever since I picked up the Glorifinder set, I wanted to do a proper Rune Abyss Necrocharge spell chain deck. So this is talking about the Crosscraft format that was basically announced for Japan at the time, I think, of us recording that episode. And the two feel like they're best friends, and Spellchain is my bread and butter anyway, so it's nice to see.
Let's go, dude.
And they also said, congrats again on today's announcement. So proud to see you being an official face in both SVE and Vanguard now. So
that was the announcement of your co-stream, right? I believe.
Yeah. For the Vanguard Nationals for 2024. So
that's right.
That was really, really fun. It was a very good experience. So yeah, that has been the comments for this time around. And so we've definitely had a lot to talk about throughout this side of the episode. And I guess it has been a little bit since the last one too, so it does make sense that we have quite a lot to discuss. So now for the people watching on YouTube, this is the end of my part of this episode. You can watch the rest on Igni's channel, so make sure you check out the link in the description. And for audio listeners, you can just continue listening basically.
Take away.